सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। Verse 34. Is done, not 35. 35. Verse 35.
क्षेत्रक्षेत्रज्ञयोरेवम् अन्तरं ज्ञानचक्षुषा भूतप्रकृतिमोक्षं च ये विदुर्यान्ति ते परम्। क्षेत्रक्षेत्रज्ञयोरेवम् अन्तरं ज्ञानचक्षुषा भूतप्रकृतिमोक्षं च ये विदुर्यान्ति ते परम्।
They who with the eye of wisdom perceive thus the distinction between kshetra, field, and kshetrajna, knower of field, and the liberation of beings from prakriti, matter, they go to the Supreme. Te yanti paramagati. They go to the Supreme. Who are the people they go to? Condition 1. They should have the eye of wisdom. With the eye of wisdom, what they do? They perceive the distinction between kshetra and kshetrajna. 1. 2. Liberation of beings from prakriti. They disengage themselves. Liberation means disengage themselves from the clutches of prakriti. Disengage themselves from their attachment with prakriti. It's a meaning. Liberation from prakriti. Liberation of beings from prakriti means that is not moksha. Moksha is then they go to the Supreme. That is moksha. This is what they are doing. Moksha is not something that you do. It is a state you achieve. It's a state of your being. That's it. So here he says they do it. What do they do, sir? How they were able to do those things? Because they possess this jnana chakshu. Jnana chakshu means the eye of wisdom. Eye of wisdom is the capacity that you develop a unique scenario. This is not intellectual clarity. Many take eye of wisdom to be intellectual clarity. Intellectual clarity is not eye of wisdom. See, that's not jnana chakshu. Jnana chakshu comes into picture when there is a perfect confluence happens between your mind and intellect. See, today there is a conflict between your mind and intellect. What you think and what you feel, there is a conflict. Your thinking says one thing, but your emotion says something else. Contrary. Your mind says is one thing. You feel one, but you think something else. Whether good or bad, it doesn't matter. We are not referring whether it is a good emotion or bad emotion. It's an emotion. The moment you have an emotion, the thinking stops. If you start thinking, emotion stops. It's not easy to have a state where you can think, also trust. Trust and thinking will never go together. Because essentially, you don't understand what is thinking. Essential problem is that. Because when you are having a doubt, you take it as thinking. You don't know the difference between thinking and doubting. You get a doubt. Is it true? Is it right? The doubting is different. Thinking is different. And what qualifies you to claim that you are thinking? You do get thoughts, right? None of you understand. Thinking needs to be, you got to put an effort to think a thought. See, we believe thoughts keeps coming. No. It just keeps coming. All that I require is what? I should put it in my memory. That's all. If I put it in my memory, it will come. That's called the skill. That's not thinking. That's called intelligence. That's not intellect. Intelligence is the skill that you develop. Like I come here and sit, close my eyes and start Sahana Vodu. Another 1.5 hours, thoughts will keep flowing. Doesn't mean I'm thinking. Yeah. Why? Because for the last 25 years, I've been doing what? Same thing. So when you keep doing something for a period of time, automatically you will have certain expertise in that. That's called the skill. That's intelligence. That's not intellect, remember. You can use Vedanta to become intelligent also. Right? And outside a person will never know. In fact, outside person will get impressed, not by intellect only. You will get impressed only by intelligence. See, how many quotations here? Suddenly he's quoting from Chandogya Upanishad. Suddenly he says, Maitreya Brahmana. Suddenly he says Shakespeare. Suddenly he says, Newton says. Suddenly he's talking about economics. Suddenly he's talking about, Pushpa 2. What is the big deal? So, my God, he has. What is it? It's all memory. See, no doubt, I'm not against memory or anything, please. If I have to talk, I need memory. Without memory, I cannot talk. You see, don't go out thinking that Vedanta is against intelligence. If at all, one of the biggest blunder of the current generation. Earlier, every generation makes one mistake, Every group will make one mistake. And very difficult to communicate to that group that mistake. It is impossible. That's what we say, Bahunam Janmanam Ante. After many, many janmas, one fellow picks up this idea. It's impossible. You may be sitting and nodding your head, but I know you are not understanding what I'm saying. That's not tragedy. Very difficult to teach this subject. You believe you are understanding. I know fully well you are nowhere near to what I'm saying. What to tell, I don't know. So interesting. Every generation makes one mistake. The next generation understands that mistake. But then the problem is that generation makes another mistake. That mistake that generation doesn't understand. What is the point? See, you should understand the mistake that you are committing, no, to correct. What is the point of you clearly able to understand the error of somebody else's? Someone else makes a mistake, you are able to clearly understand that. So what is going to happen? Only your ego will get boosted. Pilgrimage. Everybody is asking me, are you going to Kumbh Mela? Kumbh Mela, Kumbh Mela, Kumbh Mela, Kumbh Mela. That itself says it's called Mela. Mela means what? Mela nada. Huh? Fair. Trade fair you have, no? Like that, there is another fair. And people genuinely believe, you go and take a dip with that, you come out, you are an enlightened being. No clue you have. I don't know what to say. Are you not going? I said, I am averse to crowd, Thank God I fell sick. 81 who asked me, I tell them, see, as it is, I am sick. If I go there, not that I will get more sickness. That's not my problem. I don't want to spread my sickness to, so many people. I don't know what I'm carrying. Because even if you go and give a blood test also, they say, you don't know what else. Something you are carrying, sir. But be careful. Be careful for what? That group got really impressed. What a thought, sir. Madness. That doesn't mean that Kumbh Mela, I am against Kumbh Mela, please. Immediately you think what? Oh, Ishwaran is not for Kumbh Mela. He is only for Gita class. And that too his class. The Gita class, any Gita class you should not go. You should come to only my Gita lecture. Then it is okay. Every generation makes a mistake. In fact, it is compulsory in our system, In the system, beautifully they designed. The child is taken to the Gurukula. Everybody goes to the Gurukula to learn. Doesn't matter who you are. Everyone has to go. You have to be tutored under the nose of your guru. Only then knowledge can be transferred. Because this knowledge cannot be transferred to you by lecturing. That's the problem. Jnana Chakshu you will not develop by attending more classes. More and more classes I'll attend, more and more YouTube I'll listen to. How you interpret, how he interprets, how he interprets, how he teaches. You can go on listening to YouTube lectures. Because nowadays nobody goes to physical. This also people are saying, it's online, no? They stop this online first. This big business. Well, online. If you're interested, you come and listen, or else get out. Who cares? Then you can't be so uncharitable also. The balance. See, you should have that emotion also thinking. You have to go. You're not against, congregations. You're not against, traveling. In fact, it is compulsory in the system. After the Gurukula, the student is supposed to go for a yatra. The remnants of that is what we see in the marriages. And now the remnants is still there in the ritual, in the form of the ritual, known as Kashi Yatra. If you go to these weddings, you will see the person going to Kashi, they immediately think, oh my God, the fellow's frustrated, nobody's giving, daughter for him to get married. Therefore, he is running away, taking sannyasa. Now this fellow goes and says, don't worry, I'll give my daughter to you, come back. So he takes 4 steps and comes back. You don't understand. What is that? You're not against this, please. In this country, it is compulsory. In fact, Rama did that. After his Gurukula with Vasishta, 1 year he went around Tirthayatra. Arjuna went around the Tirthayatra in Mahabharata. In Ramayana, Rama goes for 1 year Tirthayatra. This fellow also goes for Tirthayatra. After comes back from Tirthayatra only, Rama gets into a state of depression, dejection. Rama's dejection is different from you getting depressed. Okay? You also get depressed. You stressed out, dejected. Rama's depression was very different. Only Vishwamitra says, only 2 fellows in this congregation understand what you are speaking, Rama. One is me. First one is himself. Second one, Vasishta, he says. That's how Yoga Vasishta starts. Vishwamitra comes to the Dasharatha's palace to ask for help. At that time, it was decided that all drama's over. After all the drama over, they sent a word to Rama. He's called. So, first, Rama will not come straight away. First, Rama's attendant will be called. That's a procedure. You don't call a prince anytime, hey, come on, man. No. First, they'll call the secretary. You call somebody, first you call the secretary. So they call the secretary, ask, and secretary comes and gives a report. This fellow is not eating, he is not sleeping, he is not talking, he is not, applying all this, scent, perfumes, and he is not laughing. All this he says, attendant. All the time Rama is sitting in the balcony looking at the open sky. He seems to be lost. Even if we go and ask him also, he's not talking. We have taken him to some dance, drama, this one, that one, he is not coming. Something is wrong with that fellow. And then Dasharatha, the best part is Dasharatha is supposed to be so attached to Rama. Rama was in this condition for 1 year in his palace. Dasharatha didn't knew. That's called blindness. You see, under your nose things will be happening, but you cannot see it. Opposite of that is Jnana Chakshu. You see. Then Dasharatha gets panicky. Hey, why you didn't tell me? You never asked. They can't simply come and keep reporting, you see. They can't, these things. About, his son, he has to come and tell the father, number 1. Number 2 is what? About the prince, he has to come and tell the king. You've got to be very careful when you are dealing with, kings. If you say one wrong gesture is enough. That fellow will chop your head off. That's the power of it. Will not, unless they are asked. They call him immediately. So immediately Rama summoned. He comes. And then they ask him. He comes, he does prostration to everyone. All that he does. He is doing everything. But at the same time, you could see he is like a zombie. What happened to you? Vairagya Prakarana. You have to study that. Don't try. One day you should study. You have a desire. One day you study that. He gives whole life he rips open in 17 different angles. 17 facets he analyzes. Look at this, 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 look at this. There's no point. After seeing life, I'll not travel. That's what it does. This yatra. What you are doing is not yatra. Yeah. Excursion. Kumbh Mela is an excursion. Kashi Yatra. We go. Yeah, have you been to this one? Have you been to this one? First thing you do is what? Return ticket. You see, first thing you book is what? Return ticket. Those days that was not the case. That's why very interestingly, all those people from south, for them, yatra means only one singular destination for them, Kashi. For all those people in the north, singular destination is Rameshwaram. Those guys have to come here, these guys have to go there. How you travel? No clue. You got to go by walk. Right? Every 5 kilometers, every 10 kilometers, what needs to be there? Can't keep walking. You need to eat? No. Where you will eat? Where you will sleep? Now there's no problem. You go there to the airport, pick up, land there, take a dip, come back. If you can afford, take a chopper, go, land, dip. With the chopper, you can go inside and come out. You don't have to even touch the land. Problem solved. Those days not the case. You go walk. Why they had it, sir? That's a training. That is where you will be forced to eat food which is not to your taste. What food will be served, you have no idea, no clue. I am a vegan. So what? There is it. I have allergy for this. I have gluten. Then go fasting. This is what is available. You can eat, you eat, or else have water and sleep. Nothing else. You see, nothing is certain. Will you get food itself is not certain. If you get food, will it be to your tongue? No. Will you get a place to sleep? No clue. How that place will be? No idea. The whole life is what? That's where you understand life is so uncertain. Nothing is certain. That is why I don't go to those places, sir. In my house, things are certain. Even in your house, nothing is certain. Certainty. But your mind will be demanding that certainty. See, not training. When you travel like this, not how you travel. You travel with backpack. Right? Just keep moving, wandering. But it's not an aimless wandering, please. There is a clear destination that gives certain maturity, certain settlement to your personality. So the remnants of that is what we see in these things as Kashi Yatra. That's why the fellow will be given a stick. Why do you have to give a stick to that fellow? He's not old. Then why do you give a stick to him? I understood that only when I went to this, why stick is needed. Kashi Yatra. They give walking stick. Yamunotri. At the things, everything is ready. I said, start walking. It's only 6 kilometers. 6 kilometer clean. That's all it is. And the fellows, coming behind me, take the stick, take the stick, take the stick. I said, 20 rupees only, sir. On the way back, you give the stick back, I'll give you 10 rupees back. I said, I don't have to give. I said, it doesn't matter, man, take it. I gave 50. The fellow promptly returned 30. But definitely he's not from Bangalore. I know. He's not a Bangalorean. No chance. The fellow gave back 30. I was surprised. I said, hey, okay, what to do? Like, take it. Like this, Shankaracharya and all will be holding, the stick. Will be holding. Like that, I was holding and walking. 15 minutes over. Half an hour over. Slowly the stick, started touching the ground. After 1 hour, it's only the stick that is taking me. I was thinking myself, I should have taken 2. Honestly. My God. I was so worried. I thought, halfway through, the problem is if I have to come back, again I have to walk off. So I said, might as well walk up, finish it and come, So difficult. So he needs a stick. And he needs a chapel. You need a slippers for you to walk. In the jungle you have to walk, in the mountains you have to climb. All that. That's why during the Kashi Yatra you'll find, a person carrying these things. You see, it's not that he is an old fellow, therefore he needs. He's a young boy. Not now marriages. I'm talking about old marriages. The current marriages, it is almost, just, a few years later, they can have 60th. Sashyatupurti can happen together, actually. Marriage. Years. This yatra you go for what? This yatras and all that is to train you to settle down. You need to settle down. The knowledge that you gather from the Gurukula fires your personality, but that needs to settle down. If it settles down after shooting up is where Jnana Chakshu comes. Otherwise you will not get it. That's where the problem is. The thinking and feeling. Because the problem is we mistake. I'm having a doubts to be thinking. That's why he says, those who have that Jnana Chakshu, then what makes you a man of thinking first? The essential qualification for you to be a thinker is to remain open. The most difficult dimension of thinking is to remain open. The problem is you're never open. You 90% of the time you say, 90% I'm saying in a very, very positive way. My 90% is extreme of positivism. You are not thinking. See, you are using arguments to justify your notions. You develop a notion. To justify the notions, you keep your thinking. That's what we read in that poem. My beak is pointed, their beaks are round. Is that any reason that I should be drunk? No reason. Therefore, what? Venture in. Says thinking means that your ability to be open. That ability to remain open is called a trust. It's called a Shraddha. You see, that capacity to remain open is called trust, faith. But the problem is, you don't carry the trust. Why? Because fundamentally you believe your trust is dependent upon the quality of the other person. He should be a trustworthy person for me to trust, sir. If I were to trust an untrustworthy person, now according to you, who is trustworthy, who is not trustworthy? You should trust. Sir, I am willing to trust. I am open to trust. But then, I will trust only who? Someone who is trustworthy. So my trust is dependent on the trustworthiness of the other person. Now what is interesting is, who is trustworthy according to you? He is a trustworthy person, sir. You can trust him. On what basis you are going to say he is a trustworthy person? Huh? See, life is like cricket match. Last match you have hit a century. Therefore, next match is what? Huh? Last match you won. Therefore, it will happen. That's what the problem is. Are you open? You see, immediately we go by the trend. That's how all these investors, ask you to invest. Sir, in the market, you see last 10 years performance of this scheme. This stock has performed. This. But what they will not say is, because it has performed in the past 10 years, does it guarantee that it will perform next? Your trustworthiness is with reference to the next, or you are trusting him for that past. Your transaction is going to be in the future, no? So you are going to trust the person for future transactions. You are not going to be trusting the person for the past actions of his, past behaviors of his, past performance of his. You are going to invest not for his past performance. You are going to invest for his future performance or present performance. This quarter, what he is going to do? In this match, how he is going to play? Two movies were to be a flop. You are finished. You see, giants, extraordinary, actors. It's like a legendary, we call them. Two movies flop, what happens? One movie success, what happens to even a newcomer? Huh? Hrithik Roshan says that in one of the interviews. He said, I was living in the same street. I was walking up and down in the same street. We will go for jogging, walking, and all that. It's very normal. You just go walk, come back, and all this. All the neighbors, nobody bothered him. No one even come to him and talk. And the fellow acted in one movie. Yes, the 2000, you see, all girls were going, gaga over that fellow. Hrithik Roshan, she's nodding her head, correct, sir? My God. Great. Two movies, successive movies were a super hit of his. And weird fellow, he acted in certain movies which I don't understand. You need courage to perform like that. See, to take a few movies, but then no, ideally suited for his personality, he'll be an action hero. You can't get a better personality than him for a typical commercial hero. Would have been going up like in the market. But he acted in 2, 3 movies, weird ones, flop. He says, same street, when 2 movies were hit, he just cannot come out. 2 movies flop, same street. No one even would look up to him and talk to him. He say, good morning. No. He said, I learned a lot in the street. Amazing. Who you trust? On what basis you are going to trust? Sir, life is a two-way traffic, no? Right. Give and take policies. I trust you, you trust me. To the extent you trust me, to that extent I will trust you. To that extent you demonstrate that you trust me, to that extent I will demonstrate I trust you. But unfortunately, the law of life says life is not a two-way traffic, it is one-way traffic. Now, you may think it is two-way. You may wish it to be two-way. You may strive it to make it two-way. Impossible. Don't try. It's a one-way traffic. You give, you give, you give, you give, you give. How long? Till you are drop dead. Keep giving. If something is reciprocating, don't think it has got anything to do with you doing. See, something is echoing the other side. It's not because you are doing, please. That is happening independently. That has got no connection to what you are doing. You keep doing, keep doing, keep doing. But you always want the other person to reciprocate. You should reciprocate. If the reciprocation is not done, there's a yesterday budget. One last statement. Everything is forgotten. Nobody was discussing about all other aspects of the budget. How many things are there in the budget? No discussions. Up to 12 lakhs, no tax. All of that. Is smart, that lady. Brought the fellows to the brim of anger till last year. Last year they were expecting something big will happen, something big is going to be done, and all that. This I've been listening to from 92 onwards. I've been attending this. That's not because of budget or anything. I had an opportunity to have a lecture in Madras University. Post budget session, we'd have a lecture by Palkiwala. He would address in that Madras University. He would give a lecture there. I wanted to attend the lecture. So you can understand what he's speaking there only if you have some updates. So 92 was a big one, So from then on, I've been listening to, my God, every year, focus is only on one point. As though whole budget is only on waiting. Dhamal he gave. The weird one. Nobody talks about anything else. No. One point. Everything is forgotten. Budget. Your job as a citizen is to pay the tax. Pay the tax. Doesn't matter. don't want to pay tax. If you are celebrating that, that shows the condition of the public. You don't understand the dynamics of how a country works. You have only option. You pay tax happily or you pay tax grudgingly. Nevertheless, you pay tax. When you are going to pay tax, why don't you pay it with happiness? With joy you pay. It's okay, it doesn't matter, leave it, no. Say, no, sir. This government, that government, the system, that system. Your thinking and the trust merges together. That's where you develop this perception. A unique eye, symbolized by this, the third eye of Shiva. The third eye, Jnana Chaksha. If you develop only your intellect, you become a dry person. You become arrogant. You become intelligent. You become cunning. That is the current scenario. All the education system, no matter where you go in the world, we are making people more intelligent. More intelligence is equals what? More selfishness, more cunningness. They are not realizing that. They are going to do education reform. Enna reform? Education needs to be reformed. That's what Ramtirtha says. Reforming the world is like straightening a dog's tail. So long you are holding it, it will look straight. The moment you leave, what happens? Rolls back. Wasting your time. Then what to do then, sir? Develop Jnana Chaksha. That's the only option. The previous generation made a mistake. What is the mistake of the previous generation, sir? They were working only on trust. They never worked on their thinking. You see, the previous generation, in the past, they were worried only about developing trust. Trust. Belief, faith. That's why religion itself is called as faith, is it not? Religion is what? Faith. Yes. They made religion into faith. Blunder. Current generation is completely neglecting that and working only on intellect, which leads to intelligence only. Intelligence equals what? When someone says he is a highly educated fellow, meaning is what? He is highly cunning. Remember, that's the meaning of it. You will not find. He would camouflage. I know none of you will agree with me. You will think, sir, you are so negative about us. When I see cancer, I have to say you have cancer. Why are you so negative? Now what am I to do? You have cancer. Now when you carry cancer, what am I to do? If you sharpen your thinking without trust, faith, emotion, devotion, gratitude, qualities such as all this, you will lead to what? It will lead you to your ego and egocentric selfish desires will be there. And those desires will do what? Those desires will force themselves to fulfill. And for the fulfillment of that desire, it will use what? all the resources that is available with it, it will use. And you are providing a very powerful resource called intellect, intelligence, thinking, knowledge, education. So what is it going to do? That's what they did, no? TRAI brought this rule 2 weeks back, you know that? All this aggregators, those who provide, phone, they say, why are you keeping only all package is with data? Imagine a person who doesn't want data. I want to use the phone only to make a call. I'm not going to browse. No package. The TRAI said, you must have a package. We'll have a package. What is the problem? 28 days. 2 GB data. I don't know. I'm just saying, arbitrarily I'm saying, okay? Don't go out and say, I have this. 28 days, 2 GB data, unlimited calls, 299 rupees. No data, unlimited calls, 28 days, 279 rupees. Now what you will do? See, what is the idea of TRAI giving that advice? Then TRAI got so angry, came so sharp on this fellows. How dare you do it? No, sir, we will change it, we'll correct it. Now what is it? 28 days, unlimited calls, 269 rupees. The TRAI got so angry. No, 28 days. Give 1 month. Say 1 month, no? As 28 days. Weird fellows you are. 28 days. Okay, we'll make it 30 days. But 30 days package will be available only for with data. Now what can you do? Now how many laws you are going to make? Please remember, in any system, if the number of cases going to the court is increasing, means that country is going for heading towards collapse. It's heading for collapse. You're not realizing that. You see, for anything and everything, if a court has to decide, Supreme Court has to decide. That also what is now. Lower courts should not decide. For every case, it is going to Supreme Court. Now, Supreme Court judges are saying, stop it, man, bring some rule. Capping should be done. You cannot go for appeal more than this. But who has to control the court? The court can decide. So interesting. Who controls the court? Supreme Court, who is going to control it? Supreme Court judges decided by whom? We decide. You don't decide. Who are you to decide? We will decide. Where are we heading? You see, intelligence is not going to be it is not a solution. The blunder they made was, when you are leaning towards trust without intellect, it gave you a problem. What is the problem? Trust without intellect, thinking. Intellect means thinking. Without intelligence, thinking leads to superstition. So education is able to destroy that superstition. Along with the destruction of superstition, what it has done, sir? wiped everything. It's exactly like antibiotic. When you're taking an antibiotic, no doubt it will destroy all the bacteriums in the system. It is not going to destroy only the bad one. It is also going to destroy the good ones also. Assumption is what? This is where nature taking over at certain point, nature left with our own self. At the body level, nature takes over. How? The body naturally develops good bacteria. Whereas when it comes to this thoughts, emotions, feelings, naturally it will not come. If it is destroyed, destroyed forever. Rekindling that, bringing back to life is, you have to start from zero again. You see the deadly dimension of it. That's why this knowledge, the urgency of this knowledge, that's the most complicated dimension of Vedanta. Teaching Vedanta is not difficulty at all. Teaching Vedanta, anyone can do. But what is the most difficult dimension is to explain the urgency of this knowledge. You see, that you will never understand. It's amazing to see. Superb. The difficulty of the masters is not explaining the subject, convincing you the need of the subject, convincing you to build the confluence. Now, how are you going to build that confluence? That is the theme of the 13th chapter. That's why in the concluding one he says, they who with the eye of wisdom. How do you develop that eye of wisdom? 34 verses he has given. The first 34 verses is to develop. It's a Purna Adhyaya. See, like in the avatars we say, no, Amsa avatar and Purna avatar. There are two types of avatars. Parasurama is an Amsa avatar. One aspect of Vishnu. Rama is a Purna avatar. You see, Krishna is a Purna avatar. Nrasimha is a Purna avatar. This Parasurama, for example, I'm saying. Parasurama is an Amsa, one dimension. Balarama is one aspect. That's called Amsa avatar. Similarly, when this Bhagavad Gita has, chapters, there are chapters which are Amsa. Like for typical one we give is the 8th chapter. 8th chapter is an Amsa chapter. It's not complete. Purna. The 13th chapter is Purna. Complete knowledge. All that is required, he gives. And finally he says, with that Jnana Chakshu, it's beautiful it is. If you get into it, it's amazing to see that. You have to see that picture. He says, they who with eye of wisdom perceive thus the distinction between Kshetra and Kshetrajna. They understand they are two different things. Now today you understand only the combination. You understand the combination. You don't understand them as two separate things. You see, that's where the problem is. Not the difference of the spirit and matter. You're not able to see it. You go to separate it exactly like you go to separate the butter from the milk. See, you understand them together. When you see that milk, you see only the milk. You do not see the presence of butter there. But the butter is in the milk. Butter is combination. Milk is a combination. What you have to do, sir? You have to process it. Of course, he has already given that 24-25. Verse 24 and 25, he gave the process, the steps. The steps to extract that butter from the milk. Like that, you need to separate it. He who is able to see the presence of the butter in the milk, when there is no sign of presence of the butter in the milk. See, there's no sign. Is there any indication? You take the milk and put it in microscope. Right? 10x, 20x, 30x. 30x microscope will see butter. 50x. That's what Vedanta says. How much ever you develop science, you will never be able to capture the consciousness. Not possible. Don't try. You are wasting your time. So suddenly there was a big furore, in the medical, the science form. One fellow announced, I found the God particle. He found God, he found God, he found God, he found God. And that fellow said, it's just a particle. I wanted to make it popular. How to make it popular? I simply named it as God particle. That's how you all got to know. Otherwise, who will get to know about it? Nobody will study. Therefore, I called it simply, teasing. Brilliant fellow, marketing wise. I don't know how good he is a scientist, but he's a very good, marketing. Named it as God particle. You cannot dissect the milk and see butter. Not possible. But where is butter? It's there. But you got to extricate it. That capacity he has. He saw with his eye of wisdom the presence of the Kshetrajna in the combination of Kshetra, Kshetrajna, and extricated liberation of beings from Prakriti. He extracted that. He separated that butter from the milk through the process stated earlier. What happens to him, sir? He goes to the Supreme. He reaches the Supreme. So you have to be very careful. This body and the cause for the body. Alam Prakriti. Kshetra and Prakriti. What is the connection? In a unmanifest state, we call it as Prakriti. In a manifest state, we call it as Kshetra. See? So he has taken the hidden. He has separated himself from the hidden. Right? Through a process. That's 13th chapter. Yes. Om Tat Sat.
Srimad-Bhagavad-Gitasu Upanishadsu Brahma-vidyayam Yoga-shastre Shri Krishna-Arjuna-samvade Kshetra-Kshetrajna-vibhaga-yogo nama Trayodashodhyayah.
Verse 1.
Arjuna uvacha Prakritim
Purusham
Purusham
Chaiva Kshetram Kshetrajnameva cha Etat Veditumicchami Jnanam Jneyam cha Keshava. 13th chapter. So this 13th chapter, we have this with this knowledge, how it works, you know, just reminded of an example given by Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. He says, this knowledge burns is very different from the burning of the others. Like this knowledge burns your ignorance like campfire getting burnt, no leftovers. All other knowledge is burning is like a wood getting burnt. Something is left out. Always something is left. Here, nothing is left. The whole thing gets burnt here. Completely destroyed. That's why we take the campfire to the temple. Burn completely. The moment you get the supreme, there's nothing left out in you. In fact, you don't exist after that. There's no more campfire. And this beautiful chapter. Of course, there are two versions to it. One version with 34 verses, some version will have 35 verses. That's because of the first verse. Some versions start with, question by Arjuna. That's what we saw just now. Where he asks Krishna to explain the 6 words. Kshetra, Kshetrajna, Jnanam, Jneyam, Purusha, Prakriti. So Krishna explains that what is Kshetra and Kshetrajna, verse 2. And 3 he says, I am the Kshetrajna. 4, 5, 6 Allah, he goes into the glory of this knowledge, glorification of the knowledge, and then starts giving the details of Kshetra. Right. So how the whole chapter, because it's been a long time. A subsequent chapter will not be so lengthy. That will get over quickly. This chapter has a lot of, it's packed. So we need to, we get a lot of scope for us to go into details. 14th chapter will not have so much of packing. It's light. Again, 15th chapter is heavy. It will be so heavy, unpacking it is difficult. At least 13th chapter, you can slightly, unpacking is little easy. 15th chapter, you just go overboard. So 15th chapter also we can finish faster. And then 16th, 17th chapter again easy. 18th chapter again is a summary, the whole thing. So tough chapter now. 13th chapter is a solid one. So what is Kshetra? He gives the details. All the indriyas, the body, the indriyas, the prana, the qualities, meaning the gross body, subtle body put together is called the Kshetra, field, the body. So when we say body, initially he introduced this Deha to be Kshetra in the second verse. 4, 5, 6, he starts giving the details of it. What is it? So he has explained what is Kshetra, and he introduced that Kshetrajna and then leaves it there. Right. And then from verse 7 onwards, he starts taking up Jnanam. The word Jnanam he starts explaining, verse 7 to 12. Jnanam. The 20 qualities of a Jnani. Various qualities, Amanitvam, Alabhitvam, and all that. The qualities and all that. The presence of those qualities itself he calls as Jnanam. Because in the absence of that qualities, Jnanam is impossible. You see, so therefore, the quality itself he calls as Jnanam. If you are not having those qualities in you, needed. Number one. Number two, even for you to qualify yourself as human being, right? You got to say, yes, I'm a human being. On what basis? On what basis you will say you are a human? Only when you have those qualities, you are a human. In absence of the qualities, you are not a human. Then what are you not? Don't ask me. I don't know. But you are not human. That may be too harsh. So therefore, what we do, sir, we simplify it a little bit and say, no, what we mean is a human agenda is to be able to experience what is possible for a human. Correct. Now, what is the agenda of human life? What is the agenda of your life? Don't say what I said. Realization, sir. I'll have bookish answer. Agenda for you is what? I want to be happy. That's all your agenda is. Correct? For you to experience what is called a human happiness. What you are experiencing right now is animalistic happiness. The contact bond, joy, is animal. A dog gets a bone, it's happy. Deny a bone, dog is not happy. As simple as that. So all your happiness right now is only animalistic in nature. If you want to experience, if you want to have the joy of a human being, that is the agenda of jnanam, no? For what you are gaining knowledge. Knowledge is to take you to the destined goal of yours. The desired goal of yours in life is to have not animalistic happiness, it should be to have human happiness. What is possible for a human being? What is possible for a human being you can experience only in the presence of these qualities. Therefore, these qualities itself is called as jnanam. See, verse 7 to 12, 8 to 12. He says, then he takes up the next idea, jnayam, to be known. Another big portion. A typical Upanishadic pattern of reasoning. The orthodox, traditional style of thinking. Right? There we saw Adhyaropa Apavada Jnaya. There he uses, you consciously superimpose and then remove it. You add and then remove. Like you must have heard, no, the story. The father had 17 elephants. He wanted that to divide to 3 of his sons. Nobody knew how to divide that equally. So finally one fellow brought. Tenali Raman came, or Birbal came, somebody came. He added one more elephant. It became 18. And then what happened, sir? Divided. And finally what he did? He said, look here, half is yours, no? Hey. The one is mine. This is my elephant, I am taking back. So division happened equally, sir. No problems. Fine. Super. That's Adhyaropa Apavada Jnaya. Right. The story formed again. Story you'll remember, principle you'll forget. Doesn't matter, at least story you remember, no? This is enough. One day it will strike. Correct? No? That's it. Adhyaropa. To be known. What is to be known? What is to be known is the self. Is this Brahman, is what is to be known. So out of 6, 4 is over. What is left out is Purusha and Prakriti. Now what he does is he takes up this Purusha Prakriti together and explains. 19 to 23. Purusha and Prakriti. Prakriti is what we use in Vedanta as Maya. Maya is the term used for Prakriti, and Brahman is Purusha. So what is Maya? What is Brahman? Explained again. Why? How do we say that? Because in the Sankhya philosophy, Purusha is independent tattva, Prakriti is an independent tattva. Prakriti is independent of Purusha. In Vedanta, Maya is not an independent entity, it is a dependent entity. Like they gave the example of Shaktiman and Shakti. My capacity to speak. I cannot leave my capacity to speak at home and come. Yeah. I can leave my watch and come. I can leave my this come. I can leave my pen and come. I can leave my book also and come. That is possible. But can I leave my capacity to speak and come? Not possible. So my capacity of speaking is not independent of mine. It's dependent on me. So this Maya is not an independent tattva, it is a dependent principle. There is a difference between Sankhya and Vedanta. All other aspects are same. You agree to all other aspects. Purusha, Prakriti, Tattva. How Prakriti creates from Purusha in the presence of Purusha, all those analysis, all that is done there. Purusha and Prakriti. And then 24, 25, he gave this methods, steps. What you should do. Start with Karma Yoga. Practice Karma Yoga. Drop your bulk of desires. Then develop your capacity to focus. With the capacity to focus, using those qualities and all that, you get into this Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Through these things, those steps, you reach that supreme. And that's what he gives. This krama is given, 24, 25. And then after realization, what happens? Now you are using the steps, you are using the knowledge. What is the state of that jnani? Explained. After explaining the state of jnani, so this has happened, this is the principles, this is the methodology, and this is what he achieves. Okay, sir, this is what his vision is, but what is a prayojana for me? What's the use for me? What is the use? What will happen without this knowledge? What will happen with the knowledge? Immediately comes back to the basic idea and says, what happens without this knowledge? Without this knowledge, you destroy yourself. You are heading for self-destruction. Like he says, a life without this knowledge is like a drunkard driver driving a car without a steering wheel. For example, Roma. I asked him, Swamiji, without brakes would be better, no? He said, hey, I gave an example, shut up and listen. solid firing I got. Just, I thought, brake இல்லைனா பிரச்சனை. He said, what? After that only I realized, correct, that is. If you apply brakes, what will happen? Car will not move. What are you then? You are dead. Applying brakes is what? Sir, option is there. No, we'll stop the car. Stopping the car is equal to what? Stopping your breath. The only option you have is what in life? Is to die or freeze. See, mummify yourself. That's the option you have. If you start moving, what will happen? Drunken driver driving a car without steering. I say, oh, Aduva Swamiji. He just, looked at you, boot. No comments. He is not giving any comment, means you got the point. Understood. The drunken driver says, you destroy yourself, he says. And then finally, he explained with two classic examples how the self, Atma, doesn't associate in any way. Because earlier, Kshetra, Kshetrajna, Purusha, Prakriti. So there is always, we have this rhymey words, So because they are of rhymey words, you believe there is a relationship, there is a connection. He says, Purusha has no relationship with Prakriti. Kshetrajna has no connection to Kshetra. No link. There's no connection. How do you explain that? Space and light. Two examples. Outstanding examples of Vedanta. Space plus light. Only space, problem. Only light, problem. It doesn't communicate. See, with this whole thing, he gives that idea. Concludes that finally saying, those who have this knowledge, understanding, meaning what? With the qualities. That's what I said as thinking plus trust. This jnanam you must have. The quality, emotions, values, qualities. With the qualities, with the preparation, when you develop your thinking, you will have Jnana Chakshu. With that Jnana Chakshu, you will understand all this. That's why we read the first verse again. So that we re-look at again the whole thing. We'll see in this class.